There is a strange kind of tiredness many people feel today. You wake up, and before the day even starts, you already feel drained. You didn't run. You didn't lift anything heavy. You didn't do much at all. And yet, you are exhausted. Not the kind of tiredness that sleep fixes. Not the kind that disappears after a day off. It's a deeper fatigue. A quiet one. The kind that sits behind your eyes or in your chest. You might tell yourself that you're just lazy or unmotivated or that something is wrong with you. But this tiredness is not coming from your body. It's coming from somewhere else. Modern life has taught us to measure effort in visible actions. Hours worked. Tasks completed. Things achieved. So when we feel tired without doing anything, we don't know how to explain it. But here is the truth. You can be exhausted, even when you are completely still. Because the thing that never rests anymore is not your body. It's your mind. Even when you are lying down, your mind is still moving. Thinking, planning, remembering, anticipating. What should I do next? Did I forget something? What if this goes wrong? What am I falling behind on? This kind of tiredness doesn't show up on the outside, but it slowly consumes you from within. And the more you try to rest the modern way, the more confusing it becomes. You sleep longer, but wake up tired. You take breaks, but feel no lighter. You do nothing, yet all because once you understand where this tiredness truly comes from, you may finally stop blaming yourself for it.
For most of human history, tiredness was simple. You worked with your body, you moved, you carried, you hunted, you built, and when the day ended, your body was tired, but your mind could rest. Sleep restored you because exhaustion came from physical effort, but modern tiredness is different. Today, many people feel drained without ever using their bodies. They sit, they scroll, they stare at screens. And yet, the fatigue feels heavier than ever. This is because the dominant form of exhaustion today is no longer physical. It is mental. Your body may be still, but your mind is constantly active. Modern life requires continuous attention. You are expected to respond, to react, to stay informed, to stay available. Even when nothing urgent is happening, your mind remains alert, as if something might happen at any moment. This creates a form of fatigue that sleep alone cannot repair. Physical tiredness has a clear signal. Your muscles ache. Your body slows down. Mental tiredness is quieter. It shows up as heaviness, as fog, as a lack of motivation without a clear reason. You may sleep for 8 hours and still wake up exhausted. Because your mind never truly powered down. It moved from one stimulus to the next, one thought to another, one expectation to the next concern. Rest, in the modern sense, often means switching inputs, not removing them. We replace work with entertainment, tasks with content, deadlines with notifications. The body is resting, but the mind is still working. And over time, this creates a dangerous illusion. We begin to believe that tiredness means weakness, or laziness, or a personal failure. But what you are experiencing is not a lack of effort. It is the result of sustained mental activation. Your nervous system was never designed to remain on indefinitely. Yet modern life quietly demands exactly that.
This is why doing nothing can feel just as exhausting as doing everything. Because exhaustion is no longer about movement. It is about mental load. And until this distinction is understood, no amount of sleep, breaks, or motivation will ever feel like enough.
What many people don't realize is that their mind never truly turns off anymore. Even in moments that appear quiet, something inside remains alert, waiting, monitoring, anticipating. Modern life has trained the mind to stay on standby. You are not actively working, but you are always ready to work. Ready to reply, ready to react, ready to adjust. This constant readiness creates a background tension that never fully disappears. Your mind begins to behave like a system that is permanently running. Not because something is happening, but because something might happen. A message could arrive. A problem could appear. A responsibility could resurface. And so the mind stays open. It does not close its loops. This is why doing nothing no longer feels restful. Because even when you stop moving, your attention keeps scanning. It looks backward at what already happened. It looks forward at what might come next. Very rarely does it remain here. In the past, rest meant withdrawal. The body stopped and the mind followed. But now rest often means substitution. Work is replaced with content. Pressure is replaced with stimulation. The mind is still engaged, just with something else. This creates a subtle but relentless form of fatigue. Not the fatigue of effort, but the fatigue of constant awareness. You are not exhausted because you are weak. You are exhausted because your mind has not been allowed to finish anything. Every thought is interrupted. Every moment is incomplete. And over time, this unfinished state becomes the norm. The mind adapts by staying open, always alert, always slightly tense. This is why silence can feel uncomfortable. Because when the noise fades, the mind has nowhere to direct itself, and without distraction, the underlying exhaustion finally becomes noticeable. What you are feeling is not a lack of energy. It is the cost of being mentally available at all times. And until the mind is given permission to truly stand down, this tiredness will continue, no matter how much you sleep or how little you do. Long before modern technology, long before constant connectivity, ancient thinkers were already observing the same pattern we see today. They noticed that the deepest exhaustion did not come from physical labor. It came from inner tension. In ancient Asian traditions, this was not described as stress or burnout. It was described as excess effort, not effort of the body, but effort of the mind. Taoist thinkers warned against what they called forcing. The tendency to push, to control, to constantly interfere with the natural flow of things. They believe that when the mind tries to manage everything, it never truly rests. Not because life is demanding, but because the mind refuses to release control. Buddhist teachings observed something similar. They noticed that suffering did not come from activity itself, but from a mind that could not settle. A mind that continuously reached forward. A mind that clung to outcomes. A mind that never completed a moment. This constant reaching was seen as a source of exhaustion. Not because it required strength, but because it required endless attention. Confucian thought approached the problem differently. It focused on roles, responsibilities, and expectations. When a person carried too many identities at once, worker, parent, child, friend, provider, the mind became fragmented, pulled in many directions, yet never fully present in any. What is striking is that none of these traditions treated exhaustion as a personal failure. They did not say, "You are not trying hard enough." They said the opposite. They warned that too much inner effort would quietly drain a person over time. They understood that the mind was not meant to be constantly engaged. That awareness, when left permanently open, would slowly exhaust itself. In ancient times, this exhaustion was rare. Life was physically demanding, but mentally simple. There were clear boundaries between action and rest, between work and stillness. Today, those boundaries no longer exist. The ancient warnings now apply to everyday life. Not because we have failed, but because the conditions have changed. The mind is being asked to do something it was never designed to sustain. Remain alert. Remain responsive. Remain engaged. In modern life, rest is often misunderstood. We believe that resting means stopping work, closing the laptop, sitting down, doing nothing productive. But for many people, this kind of rest doesn't work. They take breaks, but feel no lighter afterward. They lie down, but the fatigue remains. This is because most modern forms of rest do not actually allow the mind to rest. They only change the type of stimulation. Work is replaced with entertainment. Tasks are replaced with content. Pressure is replaced with noise. The body stops, but the mind continues. Scrolling, consuming, reacting. From the mind's perspective, this is not rest. It is simply a different form of engagement. True mental rest requires something that modern life rarely provides: completion. The mind becomes tired when it is forced to remain open. Open to messages, open to updates, open to possibilities. Nothing fully ends. Every activity bleeds into the next. Even leisure becomes fragmented. A video is watched halfway. A thought is interrupted. Attention is constantly pulled away. Over time, the mind adapts by staying alert at all times. It no longer expects closure. And without closure, rest becomes impossible. This is why rest can feel frustrating. You try to relax, but something inside refuses to settle. Not because you're doing it wrong, but because the conditions for rest have quietly disappeared. Modern life offers distraction, but not release. It offers stimulation, but not resolution. And without resolution, fatigue accumulates. The mind does not need more comfort. It needs fewer unfinished loops. Until rest is understood as a state of mental closure, not merely physical inactivity, exhaustion will continue, even in moments of apparent calm. At a certain point, many people notice something unsettling. The less they do, the more exhausted they feel. They sit still, they stop engaging, they try to rest, and yet the fatigue deepens. This feels confusing because rest is supposed to restore energy. But doing nothing does not automatically mean resting. When external activity stops, the internal state becomes more visible. The mind, no longer distracted, is forced to confront its own tension. Unfinished thoughts surface, unresolved concerns return. Mental noise, previously masked, grows louder. This is why stillness can feel uncomfortable. Not because stillness is harmful, but because it removes distraction. Doing nothing exposes how much effort the mind has been carrying. It reveals the constant background strain that was previously hidden by activity. In this state, exhaustion is not created, it is uncovered. The fatigue was already there. It simply becomes impossible to ignore. Modern life trains people to stay occupied as a form of avoidance. Movement becomes a way to escape awareness. When that movement stops, the accumulated mental load demands attention. This creates the illusion that rest itself is exhausting. But rest is not the cause. Rest is the moment when exhaustion finally becomes conscious. This is an important distinction, because it shifts the question away from effort and toward internal pressure. The problem is not that you are incapable of resting. The problem is that your mind has been carrying too much for too long.
Doing nothing does not drain you. It simply removes the buffer. And without that buffer, the true weight of modern mental life is finally felt.
If you take one thing from this video, let it be this. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not lazy. And you are not failing at life. What you are experiencing is not a personal defect. It is a response to a world that quietly demands constant mental presence. A world that never truly powers down. Your tiredness is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a signal that your mind has been asked to carry more than it was designed to hold. For a long time, many people try to fix this exhaustion by pushing themselves harder, by optimizing routines, by forcing motivation, by treating rest as another task to complete. But exhaustion does not disappear when it is confronted with effort. It softens only when inner pressure is reduced. Ancient traditions understood this. They did not believe that peace could be achieved by doing more. They believed it came from doing less, not less activity, but less inner struggle, less resistance, less constant self-management. This does not mean withdrawing from life. It means no longer treating every moment as something that must be controlled. True rest is quiet. It does not announce itself. It does not feel productive, and it cannot be forced. It begins when the mind is finally allowed to release its grip. Not all at once, not dramatically, but gradually. If you feel tired, even when you do nothing, it does not mean you are failing at rest. It means you have been carrying a weight that few people are taught how to put down, and understanding this is not the end of exhaustion, but it is the beginning of not blaming yourself for it.